Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.
Shalom, 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 Yasharon and Yahudah, grafted in Gentiles into the body of Hamashiach. Listening to Hezekiah. Song is entitled Good to Me. I don't own the rights to this music. Listen, Yahuah has been good to me, right? Yahusha has been good to me. I would not be where I am today had it not been for the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach and Yahuah making it possible for that to happen. Thank you, Yahuah. Thank you, Yahuah. See, I would not have sonship. I would not have my sin consciousness removed. I would not be quickened. I would not have received the Ruach HaKodesh. I would not have the right to be the sons of Elohiym. Yahuah, I give you praise. I give you praise. Listen, I would be dead. Hallelujah. 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 Yahuwah's been good to me. Right? Yahuah, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, I give you praise. Because you've been good to me. You, through Yahushua HaMashiach, and establishing your witness in me as I've received it in Emunah, you've been good to me. You provided me a high priest for me to turn to after the order of Melchizedek. That was a king and priest, Yahushua HaMashiach. The king of Yehudah over the nation, Yehudah. Listen, Yahuah, I give you praise because this Yahushua HaMashiach, Yah salvation, hath offered himself as a lamb and as a sacrifice, and he himself bore my sins and my iniquities upon the tree. Yahuah, I'm grateful. You've been good to me. You've been good to me. He has sprinkled his blood in the tabernacle, in the Shamayim. You received it in the holies of holies. I give you praise. I give you praise. Yahuah, let the words of my mouth come forth. Ruachali. Take the reins of my lips. Take the reins of my tongue and reign. Yahuah, may I not cause anyone to stumble, anyone to be turned out of the way, anyone to come up lame. Yahuah, but by your Ruach HaKodesh, this comforter that Yahushua said that I would receive, that would lead me and guide me into all truth. This Ruach HaKodesh, I'm asking you to speak through me. I yield myself as an instrument of righteousness. I yield myself to you for the service that is reasonable. Yahuah, I give you praise. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, listen, we're listening to none other than Hezekiah. I love this song. The song is entitled Good to Me. And make no mistake about it, Yahuah has been good to me. And make no mistake about it, if you have received this witness, he's been good to you. Oh, yes. He's been good to you. He has provided you Yeshua. He has given you eternal life. He has established you in his kingdom. Listen, he's good to you. Ooh, hear me. He is good to you. He is good to you if he has given you the gift of Yeshua in salvation and you have received it. He has been good to you. And even if he hasn't, even if you haven't, he's still good to you. Because you're still yet in the land of the living, having an opportunity to turn to the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. Listen, He's been good to me. He's been good to me. I have to thank you. I have to thank you. I have to thank you. I have to thank Yahuah. Yahuah, I give you praise. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, I give you praise. Yahushua, I give you praise. You are that high priest after the order of Melchizedek. You are he in which has taken my offering, my sin offering before Yahuah. And he has received my offering based on my commitment to receiving your witness. Yahuah, I give you praise. I'm established in the kingdom. I'm thankful. I'm thankful, Yahuah, for you have established me in your kingdom. I thank you. I am a Hebrew of Hebrews. I thank you. You have quickened me, made me alive, caused me to be seated together in the Shamayim, in Hamashiach Yahushua. I thank you. I thank you, Yahuah. I give you praise. I thank you. Listen. You have to give Yahuah thanks. This is your reasonable service. It's a reasonable thing for you to praise Yahuah. Oh, yeah. It's reasonable, right? Listen, he says, right, in the 12th verse, 12th chapter, in the first verse, right? Now, I know we're in the 14th chapter. I think we're in the 14th chapter now, but that 12th chapter says, listen, I beg you, right? Therefore, brethren, by Yahuwah's mercy, Yahuah demonstrated his mercy in the witness. And if you have received the witness, you have been partakers of his mercy, of his grace. You have walked into and seized hold of this witness, and you have his mercy, right? That ye present your bodies a living sacrifice. See, Yahuah, I give you praise. I render unto you the sacrifice of praise. I sacrifice myself, my lips, my tongue. I offer unto you praise, Yahuah, right? I present my body, right, alive, because he can't do nothing with you when you're dead. When you're dead in your trespasses and sins, you have no use to Yahuah. And when you're dead, physically dead in the ground, you have no use to Yahuah. So to present your body a living sacrifice, having been made alive through Yahushua HaMashiach's witness, and the Ruach HaKodesh quickened, and as you are alive in this living, breathing vessel, this temple, you are to present yourself unto Yahuah as a living sacrifice, holy, Kodesh, by his Ruach in you. You are holy, Kodesh, set apart, which is acceptable unto Yahuah, right? Because only that which is Kodesh is acceptable unto Yahuah. If you are yet in your sins, you are not acceptable unto Yahushua. If you are yet in your sins, you are not Kodesh under Yahuah, right? You have to have received the witness. You have to have been quickened. You have to partake in the quickening, right? Because in the quickening, there is the removal of your sins, right? And you become Kodesh. You can become of service to Yahuah. You can render unto him the sacrifice of praise, the fruit of your lips, magnifying his great name, right? And this is your reasonable service. This is what you are reasonably expected to have, to provide to Yahuah. It's your reasonable service, right? Right? Because we've been transformed into Yahuwah's image in Yahushua by the Ruach HaKodesh, we have an obligation to maintain this transformation and not allow ourselves to be conformed not allow ourselves to be shapen by the things that we see and hear in this system, in this world, in Babylon, in Mitzrayim. We have an obligation to remain transformed, continue to bring our mind into a transformed state by the word of Yahuah. Right, but this is your reasonable service. It's your reasonable service. It's a reasonable service. It's a reasonable service. Be not conformed, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, by the word, the Basora, the Torah of truth, right? That ye may prove what that's good. That you may prove that which is good, right? And acceptable and perfect. The will of Yahuah is the word of Yahuah. So you may demonstrate and prove the word of Yahuah to be what it is in you, having renewed your mind, having caused you to continue to walk in this transformation, right? See, because, a lot of times we feel that, the struggles that we have that are in the mind, right, are a reflection of sin still in our lives, but in reality, the struggles are going to be in the mind. But the objective is that you need to renew, transform your mind, your thought. The more word that you put towards your mind and your thought, the greater the transformation, right? So you have to understand that you have to transform your thought process. You can't conform, to the way the world does things. You have to be renewed. You have to be transformed. And it's through Yahuwah Mashiach's witness. If you're not in the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, there's no transformation. If you're not in the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, there is no transformation. Hebrew. If you have not awakened and received the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, if you have not been born of the Ruach and of the water, if you have not received the offering of Yahushua, the high priest that was also the Lamb fulfilling all things, if you can't receive this witness, listen, you can't please Yahuwah. You can't please Yahuwah. You have to have the Ruach HaKodesh. You have to have the water and the blood. You can't please Yahuwah. Can't please Yahuwah. You are eternally locked into your sin until you come to a high priest with an offering. And the only high priest that is available is that after the order of Melchizedek. Yahushua HaMashiach is that priest. And Yahushua HaMashiach has made this sacrifice, his own blood, as the Lamb of Yahuwah that taketh away the sins of the world. He has made the Lamb available to you. Let's go into Romans, right? Romans, the 14th chapter. Remember Romans, the 13th chapter dealt with being obedient to the Torah of Yahuwah, right? And the Torah of Yahuwah as it relates to government, right? Right? Walking in obedience to Torah as it relates to government, right? As it relates to government. Because, see, if you keep Torah as it relates to government, right, then government will be satisfied with you. Because Torah is righteous law. If you obey the righteousness of Torah, right, then you will be established in government, right, in the sense that, right, you will not be in violation concerning Yahuwah's Torah and government, right? You won't be in judgment or in condemnation. Right? Now, we understand that the government is wicked. Right. We serve a wicked government. We serve a wicked government. You know, and the more you understand how deep this wickedness goes, right, the more you will put your imunah in Yahuah and his Torah, keeping his law, statutes, and commandments in Yahushua HaMashiach's witness, right? The more you will be established in righteousness, and Yahuah will keep the wicked off of you. Yeah. Romans 14th chapter. Now, in the 14th chapter, Paul is dealing with Gentiles and Brews alike, right? Right? Gentiles and Brews alike, right? And he's dealing with the idea of consciousness of sin, right? See, in Yahushua HaMashiach, we've been made free. There's a consciousness of sin that has been dealt with, right? Right. And everything that we do in Yahushua HaMashiach has to be predicated on imunah. Right? We have to believe this witness. You have to believe that Yahushua is the high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. You have to believe that he went into the tabernacle in the ROMAIYM and offered up his own blood as the lamb that was sacrificed, right, on behalf of the people. Right? Yahudim first and the other nations, right? You have to receive this in imunah. Then you have to receive the witness of the Ruach HaKodesh. You got to accept the water, the blood, the Ruach HaKodesh, right? And the Ruach HaKodesh sets you at liberty. It brings you into relationship. It causes this connection with Yahuah and Yahusha in righteousness, because now with the Ruach HaKodesh in you, you have the spirit of Yahuah and Yahusha on the inside of you, establishing you in this truth, right? Are you free from the consciousness of sin, right? You're free from it. Because you don't have a desire to walk around continually to sin, right? Because Yahushua HaMashiach has made you free. That consciousness, that sin consciousness that causes you to move and to yield to every thing that Hasatan gives you as a thought to move against, to operate in, those things you have been made free from, right? And the consciousness of sin you've been made free from. Now, does that mean that the attack is not going to come in your mind, in your thoughts? Does that mean that Hasatan all of a sudden is no longer going to wage war in your mind? No. That's why you got to be renewed in the spirit of your mind. That's why I was just reading to you that you can't be conformed. Right? You can't allow Hasatan to conform you, right, to something that you once was a part of by nature, right? You have to be transformed in your mind, because you are already a quickened, sanctified, ruach filled, right? You are that free from the sin consciousness individual that you have been made in Yahushua HaMashiach. If you weren't, you would not be a part of the family of Yahuah. In order to be in the family of Yahuah, you have to be established in Yahusha's witness, which brings his Ruach HaKodesh, which is the Father and the Son in you, which establishes you in the kingdom, which makes you sons and daughters of Yahuah, right? So you have to understand that in Yahushua HaMashiach's witness, there's this freedom from this consciousness of sin, right? Right? Freedom of consciousness of sin, right? We shouldn't always be like, oh, we got to repent. We got to repent. We all got to come before Yahuah and repent. We got to repent. We got to repent. What? No. Repent for what? if you've received the witness and you have been sanctified through faith in the blood of Yahushua Mashiach, you've been purged. You've been cleansed. You may experience attacks in your mind, but you got to put the word on your mind and make your mind come into agreement with what Yahuwah's word says. You got to make your mind subject, right? Right? And look, Hebrew, just because, or in Gentiles, just because you have thoughts that come to your mind does not mean you've sinned. What it means is that you need to renew your mind. And when Hasatan brings thoughts into your head, thoughts into your mind, you got to cast those down. Those are vain imaginations. They're not even based on a reality. There are seeds sown into your mind to get you to begin to be conformed or to turn or to come back to something that you once was in. But in you, Yahuwah has already done everything necessary, having washed you, having cleansed you with the blood, and having given you his Ruach HaKodesh. Right? You walk around here with no sin consciousness. I don't walk around with sin consciousness. And listen, if I do sin, I run to the Father and have an advocate, Yahushua Mashiach, and he cleanses me, right? I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about this continual thing where, you have this, say you have this problem with stealing, and you steal all the time, but all the time you ask Yahuwah to forgive you. No, you playing games. You playing games, right? You playing games, right? You don't really want to walk in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. You aren't really established in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, right? You're not, because you continue in sin, and you can't continue in sin and be established in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. They are contradictory. I can't continue to do sinful things and live like I used to live in sin, right? And say that I am in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. They're two contradictory things. Yahushua does not share his temple with sin. You cannot have sin in you, right? And be a part of Yahushua's kingdom, right? So if you do transgress, right? If you do make a U-turn, right? You can repent and Yahuwah will forgive you, right? Right? But you can't continue to U-turn asking you to forgive you. You got to maintain the Torah of truth. You got to identify in that Torah, and you got to fulfill that Torah. You got to obey that Torah. Paul's talking about consciousness, right? He says, listen, 14:1, him that is weak, right, in emunah, or in the faith, or in the witness, right? Right? He who is weak. Now, you are weak or strong in the witness, right? In your thoughts, as much as you have the word of Yahuwah continually before you, right? The more the word is before you, the more you grow in the word of Yahuwah, in the witness of Yahushua, the less weaker you become, right? Right? Me, who have been established in this witness, right? I have received his Ruach HaKodesh, right? I've received the Ruach HaKodesh as a young man, right? And again, it was never about Christianity. It was about the Besorah and the Torah. So when I preached the Besorah and the Torah as it was in there. I did not do anything. I did not teach anything other than what was in the Besorah and the Torah, right? Right. And then when Yahuwah, right, sit the awakening, right, that 400-year awakening, right? Not only did I realize that I was the people, right? I was quickened alive to the fact by the Ruach HaKodesh, the witness. right? So for me, it was, I already had received the witness, the Ruach HaKodesh, and had signs following, right? Right? But having become awakened to who I am in Hamashiach, right? The quickening became a reality for me, right? I mean, it was a reality before, but I mean, as it relates to me as a nation of people, right? Amongst the people that are Yahuwah's chosen, the aqov, right? I am strong in this witness. I'm not weak in this witness. I teach people who are weak in this witness, who are moderately strong in this witness, and who are strong in this witness. Because there's varying degrees of where people are in this witness, right? And see, as a teacher of Torah, right, I have to understand that with this understanding of the degree of people where they are in this witness, I have to present this Besorah, this Torah, in a way that brings clarity, right? Right? A way that brings understanding. And I have to deal with them, right, in the place that they are in. I have to become all things to all men that I might win some. I have to recognize all people for where they are in this witness and where they are in life in presenting this Besorah. But here's the key. If I do it by the Ruach HaKodesh, right, and I submit to the Ruach HaKodesh in doing it, the Ruach HaKodesh is going to see to it that those who Yahuwah has chosen that have an ear to hear will receive this word. Because it's Ruach, right? But again, there's discernment and there's understanding and there's things that we have to know to do when we're dealing with people who are weak in this faith, right? Weak in this faith, right? He said, him that is weak in the faith, right? Now that word weak in the Greek is
Strong's G 770, asteneo. Asteneo.
It's asteneo, right? Right? It means to be weak, to be feeble, to be without strength, to be powerless, right? To be weak by means of needy poor. So the idea is that these are people that has just stepped into this relationship with Yahushua HaMashiach that are developing in the Ruach HaKodesh, right? But are weak. They're weak, right? Right? They're without strength. Yes, they have the Ruach HaKodesh, right? But they still are developing in this witness, right? And they are in need of growth. Now, the growth is going to come by hearing the Besorah of truth, right? Because faith is going to come by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahuwah, by the Besorah in the Torah. Now, listen, again, you know, when you're talking about hearing the word, you're talking about hearing YouTube videos or sermons or messages like these that are going to strengthen you. But it also is and has everything to do with you reading the Besorah in the Torah out loud so that you can hear it. You can hear yourself read it, and it will establish emunah in you. The ruach that Yahuwah has given to you, though you're still a babe or you're still weak, right? Or you're still kind of feeble, you're still on milk, right? You are still developing, right? You are considered weak. Now, the Hebrew is H6041. It is affliction. to cause or of persistent suffering, pain, or distress, right? And it's also Hebrews 75:04, which is the noun too. It is Rapha, R-A-P-H-A-H, Rapha, right? It means slack in body or mind, right? So the idea is that you are weak, right? Because you haven't developed, right, in your mind, right, the transforming of the mind that comes as a result of continually hearing the word of Yahuah, right? The transformation of the mind, all right? Be not conformed, but be ye transformed by the renewing, right? The mind has to be transformed, and it has to be transformed by hearing the word of Yahuah, by hearing the Basora of Yahuah, by hearing these YouTubes, by hearing yourself read the word, the Torah and the Basora out loud. You have to hear it, right? You have to hear it. He says faith comes by hearing, right? Which means that there's a connection between the audio or the audible that comes forth from your mouth and to your ears that transmits something in the head that causes you to be transformed, right? So we see here in this first verse, Paul is referencing him that is weak in the faith, in the witness. He says, receive ye. See, now, some of these italicized words, I don't even like to read. I just go over them, right? Because the writer, I told you before, they're added so that they can make it understandable for them, right? But he says, him that is weak in the faith, receive. Right? Receive him. Not to doubtful disputation. Right? Don't get into arguments or discussions that are going to lead to them having doubt, right, in that which they are established in. Right. Don't get into the conversations, right? Don't get in doubtful disputes, right, that are going to cause this person who is already weak because they're new to this witness, they're new to being established in this witness, right? Don't do anything that's going to cause them to fall away, to stumble, to be turned out of the way. That's why when I pray, my prayer is to Yahuah in the Ruach HaKodesh, cause me not to have anyone to stumble. Cause me not to allow anyone to be turned out of the way. Cause me not to let anyone come up lame. Why? Because I'm going to be held responsible for it. And I do not want to bear that responsibility. That's why in teaching, right, we are going to be held to the greater degree because in many things we offend, right? We offend, right? Now, when it comes to the word and the Basora and the Torah of truth, that's truth, right? And when I give you the Basora and the Torah of truth, that's truth. If the Torah and the Basora of truth that comes forth from me offends you, right? Well, it offends you because you may be outside of the witness, right? Which would naturally blend itself to your conviction, right? You gonna feel a certain way, right? Right. But if I'm teaching, right, and I'm not using the wisdom that comes from the Ruach HaKodesh, right? Right? And trying to teach you from myself, right? I run the risk of putting myself in a position where I can become in dispute, right? But see, the idea is that because I am strong in this witness, I have emunah, right? And Yahuah has called me to preach and teach this witness. I understand that in dealing with people, right, I have to understand that they that are weak in the faith, I have to handle differently than I would handle one who is strong or who is moderately strong, right? He said, listen, right? Now we're talking about eating. We're talking about food, right? He said, for one believeth that he may eat meat, right? Eat meat. All things. Now listen, right? Now don't get it twisted, right? Y'all be like, Shaul saying that we can eat all things. No, that's not what Shaul is saying. Shaul kept Torah, right? And we who are in the witness of Yahusha keep Torah, right? We understand that there are clean foods and there are unclean foods, right? We understand that, right? Let's go to Leviticus real quick. Let's look at Leviticus real quick, right? Leviticus 11:1, right? And Yahuah spake unto Mosheh and to Aaron, saying unto them, right? Yahuah spoke to Mosheh, the lawgiver, and to Aaron, the priest, right? The high priest that was going to atone for the people's sins, right? Speak unto the children of Yasharal, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. So these are the animals that you will eat the flesh of that are approved, right, by you, right? He says, whatsoever parteth the hoof and is clothe-footed and chew the cud amongst the beasts, thou shalt eat. So, if you have an animal that have a hoof that is clothed, that is split, right? Clothed. And he chews grass. He chews hay. He chews grain, right? Right? That's chews the cud. Chews, right? 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 These you can eat, right? So you can eat a cow, right? You can eat a goat. You can eat a deer, right? You can't eat a horse. He has hooves, but it ain't cleft, or it's not split. You can't eat a camel. Camel has hooves. It ain't split, right? There's certain. Wait a minute, the camel. Let me see. Yeah, the camel doesn't have a split hoof. There are things that you can't eat, right? Period. Can't eat. They're unclean to you, right? They were unclean then, and they're still unclean now, because in Yahushua HaMashiach, we fulfill Torah. We keep Torah. We don't violate Torah, right? He says, listen. He says, nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, right? Or of them that divide the hoofs as a camel, because he chews the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean to you, right? So I'm eating camels. Why would you eat camel? You know, now other nations may eat camels. Other nations may eat horses. You know. other nations don't eat cows because they consider them sacred. Right? Adultery. Adultery will make you do strange things. Won't eat a cow. Right? Right? Or an ox. Or a sheep. Right? These chew the cud and have the hoofs split, cloved. You can eat them. He says the hair, right, because it chews the cud, right, because it cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean to you, so you can't eat rabbits. Can't eat rabbits. We can't eat rabbits. They're unclean. Right? I can't eat no rabbit stew. Right? I can't even walk around with a rabbit's foot because it ain't lucky. Because that rabbit's foot, if it was a real rabbit's foot, belonged to a dead rabbit. And it's unclean for me to touch a dead rabbit. Listen. There are Torah laws that we have to follow. Yahuah gave these laws to Mosheh, the law, to the people. The people knew what they couldn't eat and what they could eat. And he gave it to the high priest, Aaron, so the high priest would understand and know, and to be able to teach, right? And to be able to operate in the office of the high priest, right? Because, you can't touch these things. He says, okay. He says, and the swine, though he divides the hoof, right? And his clove foot, right? He don't chew, yet he cheweth not the cud. He don't eat grass. Actually, they unclean because they eat everything. They eat other pigs. They eat flesh. They eat garbage. They eat slop. They eat anything. Right? We can't eat that. That's unclean. No pig, man. No pig, man. Listen. Yeah, the surgeon, what's that person to tell you what is good for you to eat and what's not good? They'll tell you that, pork has all kinds of worms and stuff in it. I mean, it's got stuff in it that leads to high blood pressure, and you got these double-decker, triple bacon layer burgers. Listen, right? I used to love pork, man. Pork chops, pork rind, crackling, yeah. And then I was awoke. He woke me. He woke me up. Listen, and I understand. I can't do it. Right? Now, in the renewed covenant, they would try to, in the Christian church, they would try to tell you to believe, you could eat because, Shaul, when he was in Joppa on the roof of the house praying that Yahuah, told him to slay and eat. And there was all kind of manner of unclean things on the sheet. Peter said, listen, I don't have anything. As a Hebrew, I don't allow anything unclean to come into my mouth. Yahuah said, don't, what I call clean, don't say it's unclean, right? He did it 3 times, right? Food, all kinds of unclean stuff, right? But he wasn't talking about food. He was talking about the Gentiles that he was going to bring into the kingdom of Yahuah, and he was going to use Shaul. He was going to use Peter first and Shaul to get this done. Cornelius' house. So no, that wasn't Yahuah setting his approval on eating horses and eating pigs and eating rabbits And everything else is unclean. Raccoons. None of that choose the cud. Don't choose the cud. Oh, man, don't choose the cud. Listen, he says, and the swine, right? That's because he is unclean to you, right? Of their flesh ye shall not eat, and their carcasses ye shall not touch. You ain't even supposed to touch these dead things. You unclean. You got pig farms, man. You got pig farmers. You got Hebrews in a pig farm. That's why all Israel ain't Israel. Yeah. That's why all Israel that even is awakened ain't all Israel. They know they the people, but you know, they gonna still eat bacon. They gonna still eat that bacon burger. They gonna have that pizza with that pepperoni on it and that Italian sausage. Listen, they gonna still do it, right? But see, we who have been quickened, right? Who the Torah is fulfilled in us, who walk after the Ruach HaKodesh, won't dare do it. Because it's a violation of Torah. And see, we've been renewed in our minds. We haven't been conformed to the double bacon cheeseburger that's on the television. We haven't been conformed to that Papa John's pizza with the pepperonis and sausage. Yeah, we've been renewed. We've been renewed. Listen. Right, these things are unclean. You ain't supposed to touch it. Now, even concerning fish, I don't know we're going through this, but we're just going through it. He says in the 11th verse, he said, in the 9th verse in the 11th chapter, he says, these shall ye eat that are in the waters. Right? Whatsoever haveth fins. So, if it has fins in the water, right? And scales. So it has to have fins and scales. You can't have fins and non-scales. So you can't eat catfish. This is like, you can't eat some of this saltwater fish that don't have scales. Right? You can eat some redfish. You can eat some groupers. You can eat some of them fish because they got scales. If you ain't got no scales, you can't eat them. Now you can't eat sea cockroaches. You can't eat scrimps. Need an underwater ocean cockroach. You can't eat them. You can't eat crabs and lobsters, and because they don't have scales and they don't have fins, so we don't eat them. Right? We don't eat them. Torah tells us we don't eat them, and then it's up for debate. It ain't up for discussion, right? It isn't. You know. Me and my wife go to the restaurant. I've asked people to listen. He said, "Oh, we have this fish with lobster." It's okay. I don't want the lobster. I want the fish. You don't want the lobster? No, I don't want the lobster. I want the fish. You can give me another piece of fish in place of the lobster, but I don't want the lobster. I don't eat unclean things. Now I still eat not pepperoni. I still eat pizza, right? We got a pizza place, man. All I eat is cheese and they have this turkey sausage or turkey sausage. Man, look at it. This pizza's good. New York style. I substitute. I don't do it. Yeah. Listen. So, right? He says, fins in the sea and in the rivers. Right? So, you got them channel cats. Right? Can't eat channel catfish. And can't eat sea catfish. Some of that stuff we don't want to eat anyway, but you just can't eat it. Some fish you just can't eat. Can't eat. Right? He says, all that moves in the water and anything and living thing which is in the water, they shall be an abomination to you. So, if it don't have scales, if it don't have fins, it's an abomination. Right? Can't eat it. Right? They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. So you can't eat their flesh, and you can't deal enough with the carcasses. It's an abomination, right? Unclean, right? Okay, let's talk about birds. He says, and these ye shall have an abomination among the fowls, right? They shall not be eaten. They're an abomination. You can't eat eagles. You can't eat ostrich. You can't eat osprey. You can't eat vultures. You can't eat kites. You can't eat ravens. You can't eat kind of birds. You can't eat owls. You can't eat hawks. You can't eat cockoos. Can't eat hawks. These are predatory birds. These birds are predatory, right? Right? You can't eat a swan. Can't eat a pelican. Can't eat a giger eagle, right? A stork, a heron, after a kind, a lapwing, and a bat. Can't eat a bat. Who would eat a bat? Unclean, right? All fowl and creep going upon all fours, right? Right? Shall be an abomination to you, right? Right? He says, yet these may ye eat of the flying, creeping things that go upon all four legs and feet upon the earth. So, listen, you can eat birds with 4 feet to fly. They fly, right? He says, but all flying, creeping things which have 4 feet, an abomination unto you, right? Wait, okay. Let me make sure I said that right. Yet these, wait a minute, what did I do? Heron, creeping things, and abomination. She says, verse 21, yet these may ye eat of every flying, creeping thing that goeth upon all four, go upon 4 which have legs above their feet, right? That have legs above their feet to leap withal upon the earth, right? So they got legs, right? And then they got the feet, right? And they leap. They jump, right? You can eat them. Right, okay, so that's just that. Now let's go back to Romans, because we spent some time in that, okay? So he says, for one believeth that he may eat all things. right? And another who is weak eateth herbs, right? So, the one who is established in this witness, who have the Ruach HaKodesh, right? Who has the Besorah and the Torah of truth constantly before him, and the revelation that comes by the Ruach HaKodesh concerning the word has elevated him in Emunah to a place of sin, a lack of elevated to him to a place where he recognized that there is nothing that the Torah says concerning what he can eat that he can't eat. He can eat a cow, he can eat a lamb, he can eat a sheep, he can eat a goat. Now, also to which was an issue, right, is the idea of eating meat, right, that was offered up to idols, right? And at one point, Paul addresses this, and he says, "What's an idol to me? I don't care about no idol. There's lamb chops coming off that idol. They selling the meat. It's nothing for me to eat meat because the idol's nothing to me. And if it's been clean and properly handled, it's food. It's meat, right? Right, but you got some that be like, well, I don't eat meat. I just eat herbs, right? All right, well, that's fine. I am not going to cause you to stumble, right? Or get into an argument over whether or not it's right or wrong to eat vegetables as opposed to eat meat. Now, again, I eat vegetables and meat, right? Because there's no Torah that instructs me not to eat meat, right? I love lamb chops. I love the rack of lamb. I love lamb. I love goat. Yeah, I love goat. And I love Angus beef. I love ox, cows, meat, right? But I am not going to get into a discussion with you or a dispute with you as to regards to you and your feelings because of where you are in your emunah and the witness that you have in Hamashiach. You feel that vegetables is the way to go. Okay, that's fine. Fine. He said, listen, let not him that eateth despise him that eateth not. I ain't mad at you because you want to eat vegetables. I'm not mad at you because you want to eat a meat substitute, tofu, or whatever meat you want to use, whatever you want to use. I mean, I'm not mad at you about that. Right? I'm not going to get into an argument with you over whether or not it's right or wrong or whether it's good or bad. It's not, because in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, I'm free. Right? Right? I'm free. I'm established in this witness. You free. You established in this witness. Yeah, I got time and tenure. Yeah, I'm the bearded one. I'm an elder. I understand. Right? I've versed in the word. I've taught the Torah and the Besorah, and you still yet in your infancy. You're still on milk, right? I'm not going to dispute with you and argue with you over whether or not it's best to be vegan. Nah, I'm not going to do that. It's not a necessary argument to have. Because in your emunah, if your emunah establishes you in eating vegan, well, that's good because that's where your conscience is. See, my conscience in Yahushua Mashiach and the witness that I have received, right? I don't have sin consciousness, and what I do is in line with Torah, and because I choose to eat, meat. Yeah, that's my choice, right? But Yahuwah's not looking at me no different. He's not looking at you any different, right? He said, listen, let not him that eateth despise him that eateth not, and let not him that eateth not judge him that eateth. Right? You established in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, don't judge me because I eat meat. Right? Don't judge me because I eat meat. Oh, well, the meat that we have now is just so bad. Yeah, that. Yeah, so is the vegetables that you buying from your local stores, right? I mean, you can even say that, unless you get organic seed, these seeds can be hybrids for all we know, right? So at the end of the day, right, it's all about taking what you have, praying and giving thanks to Yahuwah for it, right? And receiving it in emunah, trusting that he's going to sanctify it in your body, right? Now, I'm not talking about eating cakes and all that other stuff, and I like sweets, right? I'm not talking about that, right? I mean, I feel like I can eat all things, right? But also, too, I know that there's some things that I need to definitely stay away from because the end result of those things is not good, right? And that's wisdom and that's understanding in the Ruach HaKodesh, but has nothing to do with you eating meat and you eating vegetables, right? He says, who art thou that judgest another man's servant, right? Because see, my reasonable service is to Yahuwah. Your reasonable service is to you. Who am I to judge you in service to Yahuwah? And who are you to judge me in service to Yahuwah? Yeah, I don't have a problem with eating meat. You don't have a problem with eating vegetables, right? You Yahuwah's servant, I'm Yahuwah's servant. I'm not going to judge you based on what Yahuwah has given you in emunah, right? And again, you have to grow in emunah. Even in your growth, your conviction may remain. I'm just going to eat vegetables because vegetables is all I need to eat. That's fine. I'm going to eat meat and vegetables, right? But I'm a servant of Yahuwah, right? I can't judge you. You can't judge me. Listen. Who art thou that judgest another man's servant? And his own master, Yahuwah, he standeth or falls. Meaning that if he does anything wrong, his master is going to judge him. Yahuwah is going to judge you, right? Yea, he shall be upholden. Yea, he shall be holden up, for Elohiym is able to make him stand. Listen, Yahuwah's got him. Yahuwah's got the vegan. Yahuwah's got the meat eater. Yahuwah's got them both. I can't judge you for you being a vegan. You can't judge me for eating meat. And I'm talking about eating meat that is approved in Torah. Right? Because if I'm eating pig, I'm full of hell. I'm rebelling against the Torah, and you know I can't be rebelling against the Torah and have the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. They don't go together. They don't go together. So let's go verse 5. See, one man esteems one day above another. Now we're talking days, right? One man esteems one day above another, right? And another man esteems every day. See, now that I don't like. Right? I don't like that added alike. Right? Because if you understand this, it says one man esteemeth one day above another. Right? Shabbat. Shabbat. Sacred. Holy. Yahuwah's day is dedicated. Yahuwah's days are dedicated, right? Right? Even down to where we are in feast days, right? Some people are in unleavened bread, or moving into Pesach, right? What are you doing? Listen, different times, right? And see, we really won't know until Yahuwah fulfills it all and restores it all when he returns and establishes his kingdom. Right now, what we do, we remember, right? Because in the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, all of that has been fulfilled. Because all of those were shadows. Those were all shadows. Pesach, all of that was a shadow. If you're in the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, then all of those are shadows because Yahushua has fulfilled those things, right? Now we are to remember them, right? We are to hold them in remembrance, right? But that's all they are, to be remembered, because in the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, all of that has been established, right? In the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. If you receive the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, then you are in Yahuwah's kingdom. You are established, right? The Pesach pointed to Yahushua. Unleavened bread pointed to Yahushua. Right? If you receive the witness of Yahushua, sin consciousness is removed from you. Right? You don't walk around with leaven. You don't even have leaven. Your body is the temple, the tabernacle of Yahuwah. It's your house. It's the house that Yahuwah occupies. Right? With Yahushua HaMashiach's witness, there's no leaven in your house because you have been cleansed. You have been washed. You have been sanctified. You have been justified in emunah. Some, esteem a day, and this day, and that day. Right? 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 He says one man esteemeth one day above another. Another esteemeth every day. He honors Yahuwah every day. Every day is an honored day for Yahuwah. See? Every day, right? And the idea that they added alike suggests that Yahuwah's Shabbat is alike every other day, when in actuality, Yahuwah's Shabbat is a sanctified, set-apart day. It's Shavuot. Is a sanctified, set-apart day, right? But another esteems every day. You can esteem every day like it is Yahuwah's day. But Yahuwah's day is Yahuwah's day. You can esteem every day as Yahuwah's day. But Yahuwah's day is Yahuwah's day. Day of rest. Let every man be persuaded in his own mind. Why? Because you know what? You have to deal with the conscience. You have to be established in this witness and in the Basor and the Torah of truth. And in emunah, that's where you have to rest and be established. Right? You got to be fully convinced. See, I'm convinced that I don't sin. I don't continue and abide and dwell in sin. I am fully persuaded that Yahuwah sacrifice, Yahushua Hamashiach's witness, has given me this Ruach HaKodesh that establishes me in this witness, that sanctifies me and sets me apart, and I do not sin. And again, you have to understand that the sin is the violation of Torah. In Yahushua Mashiach, I do not violate Torah. In the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, because he's made me free from sin consciousness. Right? Now, if I do something, I can ask Yahuwah to forgive me. He'll forgive me because I have an advocate. But the thing is that I don't do that no more. That's nothing that I practice. I don't practice sin. I don't practice sin. I'm fully persuaded of this witness. And I believe until you are fully persuaded of this witness of Yahushua Mashiach, you're going to be in sin consciousness. See, because you got to be convinced that Yahushua can cleanse you from all unrighteousness. Cleanse you from all unrighteousness. You, a new creature in Hamashiach's witness. You're a new creature who has Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh on the inside of you. You are a new creature in Yahushua Hamashiach. You ain't who you used to be. This witness has identified you as belonging to him. And if Yahuwah and Yahushua dwells in you, sin doesn't dwell in you. Can't dwell and remain in your mortal bodies. Can't. Not with the Ruach HaKodesh, the witness of Yahushua. He said, he that regardeth the day, regardeth it unto Yahuwah. And he that regardeth the day, regardeth not the day, to Yahuwah. He that doeth not regard it, right? Whatever you do it unto Yahuwah. He that eateth, eateth unto Yahuwah. He that giveth, giveth thanks. And he that eateth not to Yahuwah esteemeth, he eateth not and giveth not thanks. So the idea is listen, whatever you do in Emunah, be fully persuaded and give thanks to Yahuwah for doing what it is that you do. Right? None of this is going to change the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach in you. Because the days are shadows. The days are shadows. If you ain't in the Ruach HaKodesh, you ain't received the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. It don't matter what days you follow, or because you ain't in Yahushua. You ain't established in Yahuwah's kingdom. You ain't Yasharal. Not all Yasharal is Yasharal. Right? Yes. Avraham had children from Keturah and Hagar, right? Yes, he has Gentiles that have entered into this witness in Emunah, just like Avraham, Emunah, believed in the promise. Right? But the idea is that if you believe in this witness, you are established. Just like the Gentiles. They believed in this witness and are established. Right? They have been adopted into Yahuwah's family. Those that Yahuwah has chosen have been adopted into his family. Brew, if you haven't received this witness, you ain't in the family. It don't matter what days you follow. It doesn't matter which days you keep. See, in this witness, Yahushua Mashiach, we understand that it's fulfilled in us. See, I remember Pesach. I remember it because I know what it represented. I know what Yahushua has done and how he has provided for me something better than what the shadow was. Because the shadow, they were constantly trying to get the leaven out of their house. With the shadow, they were constantly putting blood on the doorpost every year. With the shadow, they were doing these things. But see, in Yahushua HaMashiach, he satisfied it all. He's the fulfillment of it. And that fulfillment is made alive in me by the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, I remember Shabbat. I remember the feast days, right? We participate in those things, right? Right? That pointed to us, right? I needed to get the sin out of my life through receiving the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, right? He became that door that his blood was sprinkled on. He sprinkled me with the blood, and I'm cleansed. I don't have leaven. I don't have leaven. I don't have leaven. See, because it's bigger than taking bread that has yeast in it out of my house. Because Yahuwah don't dwell in buildings made of stone. See, if the leaven is out of me, right, then that's what matters. Listen, if Yahushua has purged me from my sin and removed sin consciousness from me, and the leaven is out of me because I received it in Emunah, I received the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. I received the blood, therefore the leaven is out of me. I am what he's concerned with, not this brick building that I live in, because he's going to dwell in me, right? He's been made righteous and alive in me. Does that mean I don't participate in unleavened bread for the week? Yeah, I participate in unleavened bread, but it's greater in Yahushua Mashiach than that. Those are just types and symbols. Those are shadows. Yahushua was the fulfillment of that. That's why he said a new covenant. A new covenant I make with you. Right? A renewed covenant. This one is going to establish the dominion forever. So you gotta understand this. It ain't got nothing to do with days like that. Right? It's not. Yes, they were important for us, but we who receive the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. Listen, right? What's the day to a Gentile? He wasn't established in days. He was established in Emunah, in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. He's walking in the fulfillment of the witness. And Yahushua Mashiach. What is a day to him? Right? Yeah, Shabbat. But what is a Pesach? Right? They received the witness. Listen, let's look at this. Let's look at this. Where are we at in Acts? Right? There was a time when Shaul went to Jerusalem, right? And they had a discussion in reference to the Gentiles and what they were allowed to do, right? Right? And dispute. They were disputing, right? Now, what happened was, right? Acts 15:4. And when they were come to Jerusalem, they were received, this was Paul and those who were with him, of the assemblies and the apostles and the elders, and they declared all things that Yahuah had done with them concerning the Gentiles, right? And there arose up certain of the sect of the Pharisees which received the witness, that believed. Right? And these are Pharisees that have received the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. They're not just Pharisees, they're Pharisees that are converted, right? He says in that it was needful to circumcise them and to command to keep the law of Mosheh, right? So he was like, it was necessary that, they be circumcised, right? Right? Because, there was still the idea that circumcision is what had established them in this covenant, right? Well, the Gentiles didn't have a circumcision covenant and could not be compelled to keep a circumcision covenant because that covenant wasn't made with them. It was made with Yahudim, right? So he says, but there arose certain of the sect of the Pharisees which believed, saying that it was needful to circumcise them and to command them to keep the law of Mosheh, right? Now, Shaul will tell you that, in receiving the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, the law is fulfilled in them because of the witness, right? So he says, and the apostles and the elders came together to consider of this matter. So apostles came together, they had a discussion, right? These are the leaders of the assembly, right? They are the ones that Yahushua had appointed. They had to come together and make a decision, right? And when there was much disputing, right? They had an argument, disputation. Peter rose up and said unto them, men and brethren, ye know how that a good while ago Yahuah made choice among us that the Gentiles by my mouth should hear the word of the Besorah and believe, right? Because, that was Peter, when he was up in Joppa, in the midst of, I can't remember the man's house, but he was on the top, and, the sheet came down, and Yahuah told him 3 times, slay and eat, and, that was Yahuah telling Shaul, listen, now, you won't go and preach this Besorah to the Gentiles, because Cornelius had already sent 2 of his men over to Joppa to meet with Peter, because he was led by the Ruach HaKodesh. Now, Cornelius was waiting for, Shaul, praying and fasting and waiting to hear a word. And not only Cornelius, but Cornelius brought a bunch of Gentile friends. He had a whole Gentile convention at his house, right? So by the time these men met Peter in Joppa, Peter came down, greeted him at the door. He said, listen, my master, Cornelius, wants you to come. He said, Most High told him that he'd come. And Peter had already received the testimony of Yahuah. He's like, okay, I'll go. So next day, they all went over to Cornelius' house. Cornelius met with Paul. Peter. Cornelius, Peter came and met with Cornelius and the whole Gentile convention. That was Cornelius' house. Now Peter brought like 6 other disciples with him. So, it was 7 of them. Yeah, they were there to witness this conversion. Peter received some words from Cornelius and how, the Most High told him to come and call for him, And then Peter was like, okay, and then Peter started to speak. And as Peter started to speak, the Ruach HaKodesh fell on him just like it fell on them in the day of Pentecost. Hence, they recognized that Yahuah was no respected person, right? He was to the Gentiles. So this is what Peter was saying. He said, listen, but how he says, men and brothers, ye know how that a good while ago Yahuah made choice among us that the Gentiles by my mouth should hear the Besorah, the word, the Torah, the Besorah, and believe on the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, right? And Yahuah, which knoweth the hearts, bore them witness, giving them the Ruach HaKodesh as he did, even as unto us, right? And put no difference between us and them, purifying their hearts by emunah, right? Now, therefore, why tempt Yahuah and put a yoke upon the necks of the disciples, which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear. So why are you going to yoke them up with a Torah, right, that we weren't even able to keep, right? Because we didn't obey it, right? He says, but we believe that through the grace of Adonai Yahushua Mashiach, we shall be saved, even as they. Right? Right? He says, and then all the multitude kept silence and gave audience to Barnabas and Shaul, declaring what miracles and wonders Yahuah had wrought among the Gentiles by them. Right? Right? And after they had held their peace, James answered, saying, Men and brethren, hearken unto me. Simon hath declared how Yahuah at the first did visit the Gentiles to take out of them a people for his name. So he going to take from among the Gentiles a people for his name, right? And to this agree the word of the prophets, as it is written, after this I will return and will build again the tabernacle of David, which shall fall down, and I will build again, right, the ruins thereof, and I will set it up, right, that the residue of men might seek after Adonai and all the Gentiles, upon whom my name is called, which is just from Gentiles, upon whom Yahuwah's name is called, not the whole Gentile nation, but upon the Gentiles whom he is called, just like unto us whom he is called, right? Saith Yahuwah, who doeth all these things, right? He says, known unto Yahuwah are all his works from the beginning of the world, right? Wherefore, my sentence is that we trouble not them, which from among the Gentiles to turn to Yahuwah, right? But that we write unto them that they abstain from pollution of idols, right? And from porneia, fornication, and things strangled, and from blood. Right? So you don't strangle nothing and take the life of it, right? Because the blood is still in it. The life of the flesh is in the blood, right? And you don't take the blood and drink it and make food from it, right? Because you know, and I did this, right? I looked up food made from blood, right? Lots of them. The Portuguese got a dish called arroz de cadali something, right? Right? When searched, blood-soaked oatmeal or rice, right? Right? Made from freshly slaughtered chicken or rabbit and its blood, right? Right? Vietnamese pork blood porridge, right? Made from the blood of pigs. It's an Asian dish, right? You have Swedish blood patar, right? It is a blood pancake, plasma-based Swedish treat that, given the accurate description, right? It's protein-rich pancakes packed with iron or blood from pigs. Blood, milk, blood, right? You got French convagin, or whatever that is, right? It is chicken's blood. It's a dish, right? Made dish for Old Rooster. It's made with wine, mushroom, garlic, bacon, plenty. Appetizing, they call it, right? Then you got blood sausage, right? Or blood pudding, right? So this is what's natural what the Gentiles did, right? Now, that was more than what I wanted to give you, right? But the idea is that in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, there are things that the Gentiles in this witness were not held to. Because the witness fulfills all things. Right? The witness fulfills all things. Right? That's why the Gentiles didn't come they didn't come to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. The Jewish converts that converted to Judaism came. Listen, Shaul didn't go to Passover when he was preaching for the years that he was preaching throughout the Gentile regions. He didn't come up to Passover. He ended up coming to Passover in this final time when he made a decision to go to Jerusalem, when Yahuwah told him not to go, but he went anyway. Right? He's preaching and teaching the Gentiles. They weren't going up to Passover because they were established in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. Yahushua had fulfilled all those things. See, listen, Bruce. You don't be snared. You can convince yourself that you need to keep Torah and keep the feast days and not have received the witness. And you can convince yourself that you got to get the leaven out of your house for Pesach even though you have the witness. Bro, you have to understand. This witness is a witness that sets everything right once you receive it. You gotta receive this witness. All right, let me go. I'm gonna go a little bit further. He says, verse 6, he that regardeth the day regardeth unto Yahuwah. And he that regardeth not the day to Yahuwah, he doeth not regard. He that eateth unto Yahuwah. He that giveth thanks, for he giveth thanks. And he that eateth not, right, to Yahuwah, he eateth not, and giveth thanks. The idea is that in Yahushua HaMashiach, Adonai, Yahusha, right? Adonai, Yahusha, he regardeth it unto Adonai. He that regardeth not the day unto Adonai. It's unto Adonai. He that eateth unto Adonai. Right? He gives thanks unto Yahuwah, right? He that eateth not, he does it unto Adonai. Listen, I can't judge the witness of Yahushua in you. You can't judge the witness of Yahushua in me. I've received the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. I'm strong in Emunah, right? I'm established in the witness. I remember Pesach. I remember unleavened bread, right? I remember these things. But Yahushua HaMashiach fulfilled those things, right? I don't want to remember the sin in my house because Yahushua has purged me from sin consciousness. I'm not looking to that. I'm looking to the kingdom to come that's established in the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. I'm not cleaving to the shadows. I'm established in the dominion. The dominion that he has established, the kingdom that is to come. The witness of Yahushua Mashiach. Listen. Those things faded away. They became shadows. The priesthood faded away. Aaron's priesthood faded away. Right? The temple was destroyed. Nobody was going back to Jerusalem for Pesach. No one was going back for unleavened bread. No one was going back to the temple. It was destroyed. The priesthood faded away. Shaul said it had decayed. It fades away. You ain't offering no lamb on no doorpost. You ain't putting no blood on your doorpost. In order to serve this day, this Pesach, you have to serve it. Our forefathers, they put the blood on their doorposts. They did it all. Right? Until the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. Because Yahuwah established the dominion forever. Yahushua took away the sin. The 11 permanently, completely. The consciousness of sin has been removed. Until you understand that, you're going to be constantly stuck on a shadow. Going to be stuck in the shadow. No one liveth, for none of us liveth to himself. No man dieth to himself. In this witness, everything we do unto Yahushua, right? For whether we live unto Adonai. For whether we die unto Adonai. Because we've received this witness, right? Whether we live, therefore we die, therefore is unto Adonai Yahushua. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, we're going to stop there. Listen, understand this, right? The principle of consciousness, right? You have to be conscious to the fact that Yahuwah has removed sin consciousness, right? You have to be filled with Yahuwah's emunah. You have to have emunah. You have to mature in emunah. You have to develop in emunah. And everybody's not at the same place, right? You have to treat people where they are in emunah. And you can't get into arguments over stuff that does not cause growth, that causes people to fall away, people to turn out of the way. Can't do it. Yahuwah, I pray right now in the name of Yahushua Mashiach that the words you've given me to give them, they've received it in emunah. Yahuwah, I pray that this word, this ruachal word, would bring life and peace. I pray that this ruachal word would bring revelation, revealed knowledge. Yahuwah, you have called us to peace. You have caused us to righteousness, not to dispute over stuff that is not necessary. Yahuwah, I pray that by the Ruach HaKodesh, you would make known your purpose. And I praise you for Pesach. I praise you for what you have done and what you have laid for us in a foundation. I praise you for what Pesach pointed to. I give you praise for I'll give you praise for not only knowing what it pointed to, but having received the end result, the witness of the Ruach HaKodesh, the witness of Yahushua, the word of Yahuwah made alive in me, the sanctification of my flesh, quickening my mortal body, establishing me as a ruachal son, free from sin. I give you praise. Making me free from the consciousness of sin. I give you praise. Yahuah, I pray that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuah, use me, and I submit myself to you because it's my reasonable service. And I thank you for all that you are and all that you do in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, that's it. That's where we going to end it. And again, we gonna pick up at the 8th verse. And actually, I haven't started. I was going to get through it. But, Yahuah does what he does, right? And I am in this to bring Yahuah glory, not myself. So, man of Yah, woman of Yah, called to greatness, woman of Yahuah, beautifully and wonderfully made. Listen, Yahuah has favored you. Recognize the importance of the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. Recognize the importance of Yeshua, right? Listen, we are remembering Pesach. We're living the witness. We are remembering Pesach and unleavened bread, but we're living the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, right? Because that witness is greater than Pesach. Pesach pointed to Yahushua HaMashiach, and having received his witness, has established me as that individual house with no leaven in it, established in righteousness, because in emunah I believed it and received it, and it has been counted unto me as righteousness. So, man of Yah, woman of Yah, that's all I got. With that, I say, listen, shalom, shalom, shalom. Walk in the witness. Be led by the Ruach HaKodesh. As many as received Yahushua, to them he gave power to be the sons and daughters of Elohiym, even them that have emunah in the witness. Men of Yah, woman of Yah, be blessed.
Torah Guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.